"Mom, my wife and her family are here to spend the holidays. A full 30 days, and they, to put it mildly, don't want you here." The words cut through the air of the living room like sharpened knives. Liam, my only son, the boy I raised alone after becoming a widow at 28, stood in front of me with his arms crossed and a look I had never seen before. Cold, distant, cruel. "So, we're going out with them, going shopping, walking around the city, and when we get back tonight, I want you out of here. Do you understand? Out of this house." My heart stopped. I felt as if someone had ripped the floor out from under my feet. Behind him, Olivia, his wife, smiled with that expression of satisfaction I had learned to recognize over the last few months. Beside her, Barbara, Olivia's mother, crossed her arms with a triumphant air, and Tyler, my daughter-in-law's brother, let out a stifled chuckle that he tried to disguise with a fake cough. Everyone looked at me as if I were an intruder in my own home. The house I bought with the sweat of my brow, hemming dresses and altering suits until my fingers bled. The house where I raised my son alone. The house full of memories from 40 years of sacrifice. "Liam, this is my house," I murmured, feeling my voice crack. I was 67 years old. I had survived the loss of my husband, poverty, the sleepless nights working to give my son a future. But I never imagined the day would come when he would look at me like this. "Your house," Olivia repeated in a sugary voice, taking a step forward. "Oh, Eleanor, I think it's time you understood that things change. Liam and I need space to host my family the way they deserve. They came from very far away, and they can't be uncomfortable." Uncomfortable? The word barely escaped my throat. "I have never made anyone feel uncomfortable in this house." Barbara let out a dry laugh. "Please, Eleanor, your presence is what's uncomfortable. Always hovering, always opining, always reminding us that this is your house. Enough already. My daughter and son-in-law have every right to ask you to leave for a while." "For a while," I repeated, looking at Liam, searching his eyes for some trace of the boy who used to hug me and tell me I was his hero. But there was nothing, only coldness. "Yes, Mom, just go. Find a hotel, stay with a friend. I don't know. But you can't be here while they are visiting." Tyler approached, with that arrogant smirk that had already driven me crazy so many times. "Come on, Miss Eleanor, don't be dramatic. It's just a month, 30 days. Surely you have friends who can take you in, right? Or are there cheap motels around here?" I felt the humiliation burning my skin. It wasn't just that they were kicking me out, it was the way, the cruelty, the satisfaction on their faces, as if they had been waiting for this moment for months. I looked at Liam one last time. "Are you really going to do this? To your own mother?" He looked away. "I've made my decision. Olivia is my wife. Her family is my family now. You just have to understand that priorities change." The tears began to sting my eyes, but I refused to cry in front of them. I wouldn't give them that satisfaction. I nodded slowly, feeling every piece of my heart crumbling. "Okay," I whispered. "I'll leave." Olivia clapped with fake enthusiasm. "Oh, that's great that you understand, Eleanor. I knew you would be reasonable. Look, when you come back in a month, we can talk about how to reorganize things here, okay? There are so many changes we want to make." I walked up the stairs toward my bedroom. Each step weighed as if I were carrying the entire world. Behind me, I heard their laughter, their animated voices planning what they would do during their outing, as if I no longer existed, as if they had just taken out the trash. In my room, I opened the closet with trembling hands. What to pack? How do you decide what to take when you are evicted from your own life? I took an old suitcase and started throwing in clothes without thinking. A pair of slacks, a blouse, another blouse. My hands moved on their own, while my mind tried to process what had just happened. 40 years. 40 years living in this house. I bought it when Liam was 5, after saving every penny I earned sewing for the ladies in the neighborhood. I remembered the first night we slept here. How Liam ran through the room screaming with happiness. How he hugged me and told me I was the best mom in the world. Where had that boy gone? What had they done to him? A knock on the door pulled me from my thoughts. It was Olivia, leaning against the frame with that smile I now recognized as pure evil disguised as sweetness. "Eleanor, just came to remind you that we need the keys. All of them. Wouldn't want you to get any ideas about coming back early and ruining our vacation. I stared at her. For months I had tried to be kind to her, to please her, to earn her affection. I had cooked her favorite meals. I had respected her space. I had bitten my tongue every time she disrespected me. And this was what I received in return. "The keys are in the kitchen," I replied with a flat voice. I no longer had the energy to fight. Perfect. Oh, and one other thing. She stepped closer, lowering her voice so only I could hear. "Don't get any illusions that this is temporary, dear. Things are going to change a lot when you come back. If you come back," her words were like a slap, but I maintained my composure. I didn't answer her. I just closed the suitcase and took it off the bed. When I went down the stairs for the last time, they were already at the door, ready to leave. Liam didn't even look at me. Barbara was checking her phone with boredom. Tyler was whistling a song. Olivia gave me one last victorious smile. "Have a good month, Eleanor." "We definitely will." I walked out of my house with a suitcase, my purse, and a shattered heart. The afternoon sun blinded me for a moment. Behind me, I heard them lock the deadbolt. My own door, my own house. I walked aimlessly down the street, tears finally rolling down my cheeks. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I only knew that I had just hit the lowest point of my life. But what they didn't know, what none of them imagined, was that I was not the weak woman they believed. I had survived worse things, and this humiliation, this betrayal, would not be my end. It would be my awakening. I walked down the street with no destination, dragging my suitcase along the sidewalk as the sun began to set. People passed by me, rushed, indifferent to the elderly woman who had just been kicked out of her own home. I sat on a park bench, the same bench where I used to take Liam when he was little, and let the memories flood me like relentless waves. I remembered the day I became a widow. Liam was barely 3 years old. My husband, Robert, died in a car accident on a regular Tuesday morning. He went out to work and never came back. I remember being at the morgue, looking at his still face, feeling my entire life crumble. I was 28 years old, with a small child and exactly $200 in the bank. Everyone told me I couldn't make it alone. My own parents had died years before, and Robert's family disappeared after the funeral. But there was someone who did believe in me. Grandma Ruth. She was 80 years old when I was widowed, but she was the strongest woman I ever knew. She lived in a small house on the other side of the city, and when the world turned its back on me, she opened her arms. "My daughter," she told me that first night I cried in her kitchen while Liam slept on the sofa. "Life is going to hit you many times. It's going to knock you to the ground and spit on you, but you decide if you stay there or get up." Her wrinkled hands held mine tightly. "Never let them take what you built with your hands. Dignity isn't given, it's defended. Do you understand me?" I nodded through tears, not really understanding what she was telling me. At that moment I was just a broken widow with no idea how to move forward. Grandma Ruth taught me to sew. She had been a seamstress all her life, and over the next few months she passed on every secret of her trade. My fingers bled at first, the needles pricked me, the stitches came out crooked. But I practiced day and night. I had to. Liam depended on me. I got my first client 6 months later. A lady from the North Shore needed an emerald green dress for her daughter's wedding. She paid me $50. I wept with joy when I saw that money in my hand. $50 meant food for 2 weeks. It meant hope. From then on, I worked like never before. I sewed dresses, hemmed pants, fixed zippers, embroidered tablecloths. The ladies in the neighborhood began to recommend me. I worked until dawn, with Liam asleep beside me, my fingers moving non-stop over the fabric. "Mommy, why are you always sewing?" Liam asked me one night. He must have been about 7, because that's how we build our future, my love. Stitch by stitch, we are making something big. He smiled and hugged me. "When I grow up, I'm going to work hard so you don't have to sew anymore, Mommy. I promise." That memory pierced my chest like a spear. Where was that promise? Where was that loving boy? I saved for 5 years. Every penny we didn't use to survive, I kept in a cookie tin hidden under my bed. 5 years of sacrifice, of refusing outings, of wearing old clothes, of eating the bare minimum, all for a dream, buying a house of our own. When I finally had the $25,000 for the down payment, I took Liam to see the property. It was small, needed repairs, but it had a yard and 3 bedrooms. It was perfect. "We're going to live here, Mommy." His eyes shone with excitement. "Yes, my love. This will be our house. Forever." Grandma Ruth came to see it the day we moved in. She walked through every room, touching the walls, nodding with approval. Before leaving, she grabbed my shoulders and looked me straight in the eyes. "Eleanor, listen to me well. You bought this house with your sweat and your blood. It is yours. Never let anyone, absolutely anyone, make you feel like you don't deserve to be here. Do you hear me? Not even your own son." I laughed at the time. "Grandma, Liam would never do something like that." She didn't smile. "Life takes strange turns, honey. Just remember what I'm telling you. Dignity is always defended." Grandma Ruth died 2 years later. She was 87 and went in her sleep, at peace. At her funeral, I promised her I would never forget her words, that I would honor her memory by being strong. Liam grew up being a good son. He studied, graduated, got a decent job at a tech company. I kept sewing, but no longer out of necessity, but for the love of the craft. My house was paid off, I had some savings, and I could sleep peacefully, knowing I had given my son a future. When he turned 32, he came home with a nervous smile. "Mom, I want to introduce you to someone special." Olivia entered my life like a gentle breeze. She was pretty, polite, always smiling. She wore pale pink dresses and laughed sweetly at Liam's jokes. I saw her and thought, this is the perfect woman for my son. We had dinner together that night. Olivia praised my cooking, asked about my life, showed interest in my stories. Liam looked at her with absolute adoration. It was obvious he was deeply in love. "Your house is very cozy, Eleanor," Olivia told me while we drank coffee after dinner. "You can tell you've put a lot of love into every corner." "Thank you, dear. I built this house with a lot of effort. It's my treasure." She smiled. "It must be beautiful to have a place so full of history." Over the following months, Olivia visited frequently. She always brought flowers, was always kind. But I started noticing small details. How her eyes scanned the house, evaluating everything. How she made subtle comments about how outdated some furniture was. How she refused with polite excuses every time I offered help in the kitchen. "Don't worry, Eleanor. I know you've done enough all your life. Rest." They seemed like kind words, but there was something in her tone that made me uncomfortable. Something I couldn't define. Liam was blinded by love. He talked about her constantly, planned their future together, dreamed of a big wedding, and I, wanting to see my son happy, buried my doubts and smiled. The wedding was beautiful. Olivia wore an ivory dress with lace. She looked like a princess. Liam cried when he saw her walking down the aisle. I cried too, but not only from happiness. Something inside me whispered that things were going to change. And not for the good. "You're being paranoid, Eleanor," I told myself during the reception. "You're just jealous because your son now has another woman in his life." But Grandma Ruth's voice resonated in my head. Dignity is always defended. The first few months of marriage, they lived in a small apartment near my house. Olivia started visiting less. She always had excuses. She was tired. She had work. They needed time alone as a couple. "Mom, don't pressure her," Liam would tell me when I asked why they didn't come for dinner anymore. "Olivia needs her space." I accepted. I stepped back. I gave space. I did everything a respectful mother-in-law is supposed to do. And then, 6 months after the wedding, the bombshell dropped. Liam knocked on my door one Sunday morning. He came alone. "Mom, I need to ask you a huge favor." Liam entered the living room and sat on the sofa, rubbing his hands nervously. I poured him coffee, waiting to hear what he had to say, although something in my stomach was already twisting with anticipation. "Tell me, son, what do you need?" He took a deep breath. "Olivia and I have been talking and, well, the apartment where we live is very small. We're paying $1,200 in rent a month, and honestly, it's making it very hard for us to save to buy something of our own." He paused, avoiding my gaze. "We thought that, maybe, we could come live here with you, just temporarily, while we save up the down payment." My first reaction was joy. Having my son back home, being able to see him every day, cooking for him like when he was a child. But that joy lasted barely a second before Grandma Ruth's voice whispered in my mind, Careful. Temporarily? How long are we talking? I asked, trying to sound casual. We don't know exactly. Maybe 6 months, a year max. Just until we have about $30,000 saved for the down payment. He took my hands. Mom, you would be helping us so much. And think about it. It would be nice, right? Like before, when I lived here. I should have said no. I should have listened to my gut. But I saw the hope in my son's eyes, and my mother's heart couldn't resist. Okay, son, you can come. This is your house too. Liam hugged me tightly. Thanks, Mom. You don't know how much this means to us. Olivia is going to be so happy. But when they arrived a week later, Olivia didn't seem happy at all. She walked into the house looking at everything with a critical expression, as if she were evaluating a property she planned to buy and gut completely. Eleanor, thank you so much for having us, she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I promise we won't be any trouble. I installed them in the guest room, the largest one after mine. It had a private bath and a spacious closet. I had put on new sheets, fresh flowers on the nightstand, clean towels folded with care. This is fine, Olivia commented upon entering, but her tone suggested the opposite. Although that wall color is very outdated, don't you think, honey? She said to Liam. And that closet looks too old. Honey, it's perfect, Liam replied, although I noticed how he also looked at the room with new eyes, as if suddenly seeing defects he had never noticed before. The first few weeks were tolerable. Olivia woke up late, ate breakfast I prepared without saying thank you, spent the day on her phone or watching TV. Liam left for work early and came back late. I tried to be the perfect mother-in-law, cooked their favorite meals, kept the house clean, gave them privacy. But Olivia started making subtle changes. She moved some of my ornaments in the living room because they cluttered the space. She changed the TV channels I used to watch. She invited friends to the house without warning me, and when I went out to say hello, they looked at me as if I were interrupting something private. Oh, Eleanor, don't worry about us. Go on with your things, Olivia would tell me with a forced smile, waving me away as if I were hired help. 1 month after they moved in, the first visit from Barbara, Olivia's mother, arrived. That woman walked into my house as if she owned the place. She was about 60, caramel-dyed hair, too much makeup, and an attitude of superiority that irritated me from the first moment. So this is the famous house, Barbara said, walking through the living room with hands on her hips. It's quaint, very old-school style, right? It's a house with history, I replied, keeping my composure. I bought it 40 years ago, and I have cared for it with much love. Barbara let out a little laugh. You can tell it's 40 years old, dear. Everything here screams the 80s. She pointed at my curtains. Do people still use this kind of fabric? I thought no one bought this anymore. Olivia laughed along with her mother, and I felt the humiliation heating my cheeks. Liam was at work, so there was no one to defend me. Not that he would have lately. And these furniture pieces? Barbara sat on my favorite sofa, the one I bought with my first big savings, and wrinkled her nose. Oh no, this definitely has to go. Olivia, sweetheart, when you guys have some money, the first thing you must do is change all this. Antiquity? I know, Mom, Olivia replied, but you know how it is. Eleanor is very attached to her old things. These old things were bought with my honest work, I said, unable to contain myself anymore. Every piece of furniture here has a story, a meaning. Barbara looked at me with feigned pity. Oh, dear, I understand. When one is elderly, one gets attached to the past. It's normal, but sometimes you have to let go and accept that the world moves on. That night, when Liam arrived, I told him what had happened. I hoped he would take my side, that he would defend his mother. Mom, I think you're exaggerating, he said while taking off his shoes. Barbara was just giving her opinion. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal? She disrespected me in my own house. And Olivia laughed. Oh, Mom, don't be so sensitive. They are just comments about decor. Besides, they're right. The house could use an update. Everything is very dated. I felt as if I had been slapped. My own son, the boy for whom I sacrificed everything, was taking their side. From that day on, Barbara became a frequent visitor. She arrived without warning, settled in my living room as if she lived there, and made hurtful comments about everything. My way of cooking was too traditional and boring. My garden needed a professional hand because it looked neglected. My family photos on the walls were depressing. And Tyler, Olivia's brother, started showing up too. That 35-year-old man, without a steady job, with an arrogant smile and a sharp tongue, became my nightmare. "Miss Eleanor, still sewing little dresses?" he asked one day, watching me work on my sewing machine in the small corner I had kept in an extra room. "What a nice hobby to keep busy at your age." Although I doubt anyone still wears handmade clothes when everything can be bought online cheaper. Sewing is not just a hobby. It is my profession. My art, I replied with dignity. He laughed. Sure. Your profession. Well, at least it keeps you entertained, I guess. Because I imagine at your age there isn't much else to do, right? Olivia appeared in the doorway. "Tyler, stop bothering my mother-in-law." But she said it with a complicit smile, as if it were a fun game. "I'm just chatting, sis." "Eleanor knows I love her," Tyler said, winking at me mockingly. Every day that passed, I felt more like a stranger in my own home. Olivia had reorganized the kitchen her way, putting my things in places where I couldn't find them. She changed meal times without consulting me. She invited Barbara and Tyler constantly, and the three of them sat in my living room, criticizing everything while I took refuge in my room. Liam arrived from work, ate what Olivia cooked now because she had decided it was time for Eleanor to retire from the kitchen, and then locked himself with his wife in their room. We didn't talk anymore. We didn't share coffee in the mornings. He didn't tell me about his day. My son was drifting away, and I was losing him. One night, I heard voices in the living room. It was Olivia, Barbara, and Tyler. I approached silently and stood behind the door, listening. "This house is too big for an old woman to live alone," Barbara was saying. "It's wasted here." "I know, Mom, but Liam is still very soft with her. We need time for him to see things from our perspective," Olivia replied. "And how long are we going to wait? Meanwhile, we're living cramped when this house has 3 perfect bedrooms," Tyler complained. "Patience," Olivia said. "Everything in due time. First, we make her feel uncomfortable. Then, Liam will see that it's better for her to leave. And when that happens, this house will be ours." I felt the floor disappear beneath my feet. My hands shook as I moved away from the door in silence, returning to my room with my heart pounding so hard I thought it would explode. I sat on the bed, processing what I had just heard. It wasn't my imagination. I wasn't being paranoid. There was a plan. A deliberate plan to get me out of my own house. That night I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned in bed, staring at the ceiling, remembering every cruel comment, every contemptuous look, every moment they made me feel like I was in the way. Everything made sense now. Every move had been calculated. Every humiliation had a purpose. They were destroying me emotionally so that I would decide to leave on my own. The next morning, I tried to talk to Liam before he left for work. I waited for him in the kitchen with fresh coffee, his favorite, just as I used to make for him as a child. "Son, I need to talk to you about something important." He was checking his phone, barely paying attention to me. "Mom, I have an early meeting. Can it wait?" "No, it can't wait. It's about Olivia and her family." That caught his attention, but not in the way I expected. His expression hardened. "What is it now, Mom? Another complaint about my wife?" "Liam, listen to me. Last night I heard them talking. They have a plan to get me out of my house. They said it explicitly. Barbara, Tyler, and Olivia are conspiring against me." He let out an exasperated sigh and set the phone on the table with more force than necessary. "Mom, please, don't start with your paranoid theories this early in the morning. They aren't theories. I heard them with my own ears. They said this house is wasted on me, that they need me to leave so they can keep it." Liam stood up. His face showed irritation. "You know what? I'm tired of this. Since Olivia came into my life, you have done everything possible to create problems. First, it was subtle comments about how she cooked, then about how she dressed. Now you invent plots and conspiracies. I'm not inventing anything. Your wife and her family are pushing me out of my own house, little by little, and you are blind." "Enough!" His shout startled me. Liam had never yelled at me before. "Never. Olivia has been nothing but patient with you. She has tolerated your comments, your looks of disapproval, your possessive attitude, and her family only comes to visit her because she is living in a place where she is clearly not welcome. Tears began to roll down my cheeks. Not welcome? Liam, this is my house. I opened the doors to them. I gave them a place to live for free. And this is how they thank me? Planning how to get rid of me. No one is planning anything. That is only in your head. He put on his jacket abruptly. You know what, Mom? I think you need help. Maybe you're experiencing something related to age. You should see a doctor. Those words split me in two. My own son was suggesting I was senile, that I was crazy. The gaslighting Olivia had started, now Liam was continuing. I'm not crazy, Liam. I know what I heard. Whatever, Mom. I don't have time for this. He walked toward the door, but stopped and turned around. His next sentence was like a knife in the heart. You know, Olivia was right. She said you were going to get jealous and possessive, that you weren't going to accept that I have my own family now. And she's right. You're trying to separate me from my wife with lies. He left, slamming the door. I stood there, in the kitchen that had witnessed so many happy mornings, crying in silence. My son had chosen her. After everything I sacrificed, after the sleepless nights, after sewing until my fingers bled, after giving up my own life to give him his, he chose to believe her. The following days were hell. Olivia, Barbara, and Tyler became more brazen. They no longer bothered to hide their contempt. Barbara arrived every day, settled on my sofa, put her feet on my coffee table that I had cared for over decades. Eleanor, can you bring me a glass of water? She ordered me, as if I were her servant. With ice, please. And lemon if you have it. If I protested, Olivia appeared with that fake smile. Oh, Eleanor, my mom is just asking for water. It's not a big deal. Or is it too much work for you? Tyler had practically moved into my house. He slept on the sofa, left his clothes lying everywhere. He ate everything in the refrigerator without asking permission. One afternoon I found him in my sewing room, touching my things. What are you doing here? I asked, trying to stay calm. Just looking. This sewing machine seems antique. Probably worth some money if you sell it online as an antique. He smiled with malice. Although I doubt it still works well. It works perfectly. And it is not for sale. This room is private, Tyler. Please, get out. He stepped closer to me, invading my personal space. Or what, Eleanor? Are you going to kick me out? Because as far as I know, your son and my sister also live here, and they invited me. So technically, I have as much right to be here as you. I pushed him gently to move away. This is my house. I decide who enters and who doesn't. Your house? He laughed. For now, old lady, for now. That night, when Liam arrived, I told him what Tyler had said. His response was devastating. Mom, Tyler is family now. He's my wife's brother. If he needs a place to stay for a few days, I don't see what the problem is. There is plenty of space. A few days? He has been sleeping in my living room for 2 weeks. He doesn't work, doesn't help with anything, and treats me with total contempt. He's going through a hard time. He lost his job. Where is your compassion? My compassion? And where is yours, Liam? Where is your respect for your mother? Olivia entered the kitchen at that moment, as if she had been waiting for her turn. Liam, honey, don't stress. You know your mom always finds something to complain about. She looked at me coldly. Eleanor, why don't you go rest? You look very tired lately. I am not tired. I am fed up. Fed up with being treated like a stranger in my own home. No one treats you like a stranger, Olivia replied with a condescending tone. We are just trying to live our lives. Maybe the problem is that you can't accept that Liam is no longer a child, that he no longer needs you in the same way. Those words were designed to hurt me, and they succeeded. Liam said nothing in my defense. He just looked the other way. I locked myself in my room that night and cried until I ran out of tears. Then, I pulled an old box of photos from under my bed. Photos of Liam as a baby, his first day of school, his graduation. In every photo, I was there, smiling, proud. How had we arrived here? I found a photo of Grandma Ruth. She was in her kitchen, with her floral apron, smiling at the camera. I took it in my hands and spoke to her as if she could hear me. Grandma, you were right. You said dignity is defended, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to fight against my own son. The following weeks were a constant escalation. Victoria reorganized my closets to help, throwing away things she considered old junk without asking me. Tyler invited friends to my house for late-night parties, with loud music that prevented me from sleeping. Olivia began to make more dramatic changes. She painted the hallway without my permission, a gray color I hated. She changed the curtains for modern ones that didn't match anything. "It's just decor, Eleanor. Don't be so dramatic," she told me when I protested. Liam defended her every decision. "Mom, Olivia has good taste. The house needed an update anyway. It didn't need anything. This is my house, and you are destroying it." "It is our house now too," Olivia replied with that venomous smile. "We live here. We have a right to feel comfortable." I realized they were systematically isolating me. Olivia invited her friends over, and when I tried to join the conversation, they all went silent and stared at me until I left. Barbara talked about me as if I wasn't present. Poor Olivia. Living with such a difficult mother-in-law, I don't know how she tolerates it. I stopped eating in the dining room. I started taking my food to my room to avoid the looks of contempt and hurtful comments. I stopped watching TV in the living room because they controlled the remote and complained if I wanted to watch something different. I was becoming a ghost in my own house. I spent most of the time locked in my room, leaving only to use the bathroom or prepare something quick to eat when they weren't there. I had lost nearly 20 pounds in 2 months. My friends from the block stopped visiting me because Olivia always found a way to make them feel uncomfortable. "Oh, Eleanor has visitors," she would say loudly when one of my friends arrived. "What a shame you didn't give notice, because we were just about to fumigate the house. There are so many roaches lately. I guess it happens in old houses." My friends left embarrassed and eventually stopped calling. They were cutting me off from all social support, isolating me completely. It was a perfect tactic. Without witnesses, without allies, no one would believe my version of events. One afternoon, while they had gone shopping, I decided to walk through my own house as if I were a stranger visiting for the first time. I almost didn't recognize it. The walls I had painted with love were covered with modern art Olivia had bought. My lace curtains, the ones I had sewn myself, had been replaced. The furniture was rearranged in a way that made no sense to me. I entered what used to be my sewing room. Olivia had turned it into a walk-in closet for herself. My Singer sewing machine was cornered against the wall, covered in dust. My fabrics, carefully organized by color for years, were thrown into boxes without order. My patterns, some of them inherited from Grandma Ruth, were crumpled in a corner. I sat on the floor and cried. I cried for the woman who had worked so hard to build something of her own. I cried for the sacrifices that now seemed useless. I cried for my son, who had become a stranger. When I heard them returning, I wiped my tears quickly and left the room. But I wasn't fast enough. Barbara saw me leaving and smiled maliciously. "Spying around the house, Eleanor? Looking for something to criticize about what Olivia has improved? This room was my workspace. Now it is a disaster." "It was a disaster before," Olivia replied, entering with shopping bags. "Now it is functional. Besides, you don't sew that much anymore. Why do you need that whole room?" "I still sew. I still work." "Work? Oh, Eleanor, at your age what you do is more of a pastime than real work," she laughed. "Anyway, I needed a place for my clothes. I have a lot of things, and the bedroom closet isn't enough." Liam walked in carrying more bags. He didn't even look at me. "Liam, did you see what they did to my sewing room?" My voice sounded desperate even to my own ears. "Mom, stop arguing about every little thing. It's just a room." "It's not just a room. It is my space, my work, my history. And you destroyed it without even asking me." "Nothing is destroyed. Your things are still there, just reorganized." He finally looked at me, but his eyes were cold. "Honestly, Mom, I think the problem here is you. Olivia has been very patient, but you resist every change, every improvement. It is exhausting." "I am the problem? Me?" I felt rage finally replacing sadness. "I am the problem in my own house. The house I bought with my sweat, the house where I raised you alone, the house I opened generously when you asked me, and we appreciate it." Olivia intervened with a sugary voice. "But that doesn't mean you can control us. We live here too. We have a right to make changes. You have no right. This house is in my name. Only in my name." A tense silence fell. Barbara, Tyler, and Olivia exchanged significant glances. Liam turned pale. "What do you mean by that?" Olivia asked. And for the first time, I saw a crack in her mask of sweetness. "I mean that this property legally belongs to me. I bought it. I paid every mortgage payment for 20 years. The deed is in my name. Not Liam's. Not yours. Mine." Barbara stood up from the sofa where she was sitting. "That is ridiculous. Surely Liam is a co-owner. He is your son." "He isn't. I never transferred ownership. I never put him as an additional owner." "Mom?" Liam's voice sounded shaky. "Why did you never tell me that?" "Because I never thought it would be relevant. I never imagined my own son would want to take my house from me." "No one wants to take anything from you," Olivia said quickly. But there was panic in her eyes. "We are just living here temporarily." "As agreed." "Temporarily?" I repeated. "You've been here 8 months, and according to what I heard that night, you don't plan to ever leave. In fact, you planned for me to be the one to leave." Tyler let out a nervous laugh. "She is delirious again." "Liam, your mom definitely needs to see a doctor. Maybe she is developing dementia or something." "I am not delirious." My voice came out stronger than intended. "I heard you. Barbara said this house was too big for an old woman to live alone. Olivia said they needed time for Liam to see things from their perspective. And you, Tyler, complained about living cramped when this house has 3 bedrooms. You planned it all." "That is a lie," Olivia said, but her voice lacked conviction. "It is a lie." I looked her directly in the eyes. "Is it a lie that you changed my entire house without permission? Is it a lie that you treat me like a servant? Is it a lie that you have isolated me from my friends? Is it a lie that Tyler has been living here without contributing a single cent?" "Mom, enough," Liam said, but now there was doubt on his face. He was finally starting to see something. "No, Liam, not enough. I need you to understand something. This is my house. I decided to let you live here out of kindness, to help you. But I am not going to allow you to turn me into a prisoner in my own home." Barbara approached me with a threatening expression. "Look, Eleanor, I don't know what you are trying to do here, but it isn't going to work. Liam is your son. He has more right to this house than you at this stage. You already lived your life. It is time for you to step aside and let the young people make the decisions." "The young people? I am 67. I am not dead. And as long as I have breath in my body, no one is going to decide for me what to do with what belongs to me." Olivia approached Liam, clinging to his arm. "Honey, are you going to allow your mother to talk to us like that, after everything we have done for her, keeping her company, helping her with the house?" "Helping me?" I let out a bitter laugh. "You have destroyed my house, disrespected me constantly, made me feel like trash. That is not help, Olivia. That is calculated cruelty." Liam ran his hands through his hair, clearly stressed. "I need time to think. This is too much." "There is nothing to think about," Barbara said firmly. "Liam, you are a grown married man. You can't keep letting your mother control you. You have to choose, your wife and your new family, or her." The silence that followed was deafening. All eyes were on Liam, waiting for his answer. I looked at him too, silently begging him to choose well, to remember who had always been there. But when he spoke, his words shattered me completely. "They are right. I am not a child anymore. I have my own family now." Olivia smiled triumphantly. Barbara nodded with satisfaction. Tyler crossed his arms with an arrogant expression, and I felt the last piece of my heart smash into smithereens. "Then I guess it is decided," I said with a hollow voice. "You have chosen, Mom. Don't make it harder than it already is." "Hard for whom, Liam? For you? For them?" I pointed at Olivia and her family, because for me it has already been impossibly hard for months. I went up the stairs to my room. Each step weighed like lead. Behind me, I heard their voices celebrating. That night I didn't sleep at all. I sat on my bed, looking out the window while the hours passed slowly. I heard their laughter from below, their cheerful voices planning what they would do with their house. Every word that reached my ears was like a nail in my emotional coffin. At 3 a.m, I went down silently to the kitchen to drink water. The house was finally dark and quiet. As I passed the living room, I saw documents scattered on the table. I approached and looked at them under the dim moonlight entering through the window. They were real estate brochures, homes for sale in the area. But what froze my blood was a printed sheet titled, "How to Transfer Property from Parent to Child, Legal Guide." There were underlined paragraphs, notes in the margins. They were researching how to legally take the house from me. Further down, I found something worse. A partially filled document. It was a quitclaim deed form. My name was written in the grantor section, and Liam's name in the grantee section. Only the signatures were missing. My hands shook as I held that paper. These weren't just words or emotional humiliations. This was a concrete plan. A plan to steal the only thing I had left. I took pictures of everything with my old cell phone. My hands shook so much I had to try several times before the images came out clear. Then I put everything back exactly as it was and went up to my room in silence. I sat on the bed with the phone in my hands. Who could I call? Who would believe me? My friends in the neighborhood would think I was exaggerating. My closest family had died years ago. I was completely alone. Then I remembered Margaret. Margaret had been my best friend since we met in a sewing class 30 years ago. She was a lawyer, now retired, but with a mind sharp as a razor. We had drifted apart a bit in recent months because Olivia had done everything possible to keep my friends away, but I knew if anyone could help me, it was her. The next day, I waited for everyone to leave. Olivia had announced at breakfast that they would go to a new mall that had just opened. Barbara and Tyler, of course, would accompany them. Liam, more out of obligation than real desire. "Do you want to come, Eleanor?" Olivia asked, knowing the answer. "No, thanks. I don't feel well." Olivia smiled. "Perfect. That way we can enjoy ourselves without having to worry about you." She said it like a joke, but the venom was evident. When they finally left, I waited 20 minutes to make sure they wouldn't come back for something forgotten. Then I called Margaret. "Eleanor? My God, I haven't heard from you in ages. How are you?" The warm voice of my friend almost made me cry with relief. "Margaret, I need your help. Urgently." "What's wrong? You sound terrible." I told her everything. Every detail, every humiliation, every piece of the plan I had discovered. I spoke for 40 minutes non-stop, my voice breaking several times. Margaret listened in silence, interrupting only to ask specific questions. "Eleanor, this is very serious. What they are doing is psychological abuse, and they are planning to commit fraud. The property is in your name, right?" "Yes, completely. I never transferred it." "Do you have the deed in a safe place?" My heart stopped. "It is in my safety deposit box at the bank." "Good. Don't tell anyone. Tomorrow morning, we go to the bank together and verify everything is in order. You also need a certified copy of that deed, several copies. Margaret, there is something else." I sent her the photos I had taken the night before. I heard her gasp as she reviewed them. "This is solid evidence of intent to defraud." "Eleanor, do you have somewhere you can stay if things get ugly?" "Not really. All my friends live far or in small places. I don't want to impose. Nonsense. If necessary, you come to my house. I have a guest room. But before that, we need to ensure you are legally protected." For the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. I wasn't alone. I had an ally, Margaret. Yesterday they told me I have to leave, that they are going to stay here with Olivia's family for 30 days, and when they come back, they want me gone. "What? They kicked you out of your own house?" "Not yet, but that was what they said. Olivia, her mother, and her brother are going to stay here, and Liam told me to leave." "Absolutely not. Listen to me well, Eleanor. That is your property. Legally, you are the only one who can decide who stays and who goes. They are the ones who are there by your generosity, not the other way around. But Liam is your son, but that doesn't give him legal rights over the property. I know it hurts. Believe me, I understand. But you need to think with your head now, not your heart. These people are abusing you and planning to rob you. You cannot continue allowing it." She was right. I knew it. But it was so hard to process that my own son was part of this. What should I do? "First, tomorrow we go to the bank. Second, I need you to document everything. Every interaction, every comment, every change they made in your house without permission. Write down dates, times, Witnesses, if any. Third, if possible, record conversations. Your phone can do it. Record my own family? Eleanor, they stopped being family when they decided to destroy you. Now they are adversaries, and you need to protect yourself. That afternoon, Margaret came to my house. I texted Olivia saying a friend was coming to visit. I didn't ask for permission. I simply informed her. When Margaret arrived, I hugged her as if she were a lifeline in the middle of the ocean. She was a woman of 65, short silver hair, intelligent gray eyes, and a presence that commanded respect. We walked through the house together. Margaret took pictures of all the changes Olivia had made. The moved furniture, the painted walls, my destroyed sewing room, Tyler's belongings scattered around the living room. This is property damage, Margaret said with a serious voice. They made substantial modifications without your consent as owner. We sat in my room, the only room that still felt mine, and Margaret took out a notebook. Tell me everything from the beginning. Since Liam asked to move in here, I recounted every detail I could remember. Every cruel comment from Barbara. Every manipulation from Olivia. Every moment Liam chose to defend them instead of me. Every humiliation I had endured in silence. Margaret wrote furiously, asking specific questions, asking for exact dates when possible. Does Liam pay rent or any kind of monthly contribution? No, not a penny. At first they offered to help with utilities, but then they said they were saving, and that I understood. I stopped insisting. And Tyler? Does he contribute anything? Nothing. He eats my food, uses my utilities, leaves everything messy. It's like having a parasite. That is evidence that they are all living off your charity, not as co-owners or tenants with rights. This is important. We spent 3 hours reviewing everything. When Margaret was finally preparing to leave, she took my hands. Eleanor, what comes next won't be easy, but you need to be strong. These people are going to fight. They are going to manipulate. They are going to try to make you feel guilty. But remember, you are the victim here. You are the one who has been abused. Do you think Liam is aware of all this? Or did Olivia manipulate him too? Margaret sighed. Honestly, it probably started with her manipulating him. But at some point, he chose to continue. He chose to believe her lies about you. He chose to humiliate you. That makes him complicit. Eleanor, I'm sorry. Tears rolled down my cheeks. He is my son. I love him. I know. And that is why this hurts so much. But loving someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you. When Margaret left, I sat in my room and took out the photos of baby Liam again. I saw him growing up in those images. My baby, my boy, my young man. At what moment did I lose the son I knew? Or had he always been like this and I didn't want to see it? That night, when everyone returned from the mall, they came loaded with bags. They had spent thousands of dollars, judging by the tags from expensive stores I could see. Barbara wore a new lavender dress. Tyler showed off sneakers that cost at least $300, and Olivia proudly displayed a designer purse. It was a wonderful day, Olivia announced, dropping her bags on my sofa. Liam spoiled us a lot. Right, honey? Liam smiled, but I noticed how he avoided my gaze. We just wanted the family to feel welcome. With my money or yours? The words came out before I could stop them. The atmosphere changed instantly. Olivia looked at me coldly. Excuse me? I asked if Liam paid for all that with his money, or if he took from my savings I keep in the house. Liam turned red. Mom, what are you insinuating? I'm not insinuating anything. I'm asking directly. Why did I have $1,200 in my dresser drawer a week ago? This morning, before you left, I checked, and there was only $300. A tense silence fell. Barbara cleared her throat uncomfortably. Tyler whistled, looking the other way. Olivia crossed her arms defensively. Maybe you counted wrong, Eleanor. At your age, it is easy to get confused with those things. I didn't get confused. Someone took $900 from my room without permission. That is called theft. No one stole anything. Liam raised his voice. I borrowed a few dollars because we needed cash for the day. I was going to pay you back. You borrowed? Liam, entering my room, opening my drawers, and taking my money without asking me isn't borrowing. It is stealing. It is my house too. His shout resonated off the walls. I have a right to use what is here. No, you do not have that right. This house is mine. The money is mine. You live here because I allow it, not because you have any legal right over any of this. Barbara stood up abruptly. I see what is happening here. Your little friend came today, right? That meddling old woman filled your head with ideas. She is turning you against your own family. Margaret isn't turning me against anyone. She is just helping me see the reality you have been hiding. What reality? Olivia asked, with a dangerously calm voice. I went to my room and returned with my phone. I showed them the photos of the documents I had found, the quitclaim deed form, the real estate brochures, the underlined legal guides. This reality, the reality that you are planning to steal my house. Olivia paled. Liam stood with his mouth open. Barbara tried to snatch the phone from me, but I pulled it away. Where did you get that? Hissed Olivia. From the living room table, where you left it. You thought I was so stupid, so senile, that I wouldn't notice your plans. Those are private documents. You had no right to take them, said Barbara with indignation. Private documents about my property, about my house, about my future. I had every right. Liam ran his hands over his face, clearly in a panic. Mom, let me explain. It isn't what it looks like. It isn't what it looks like? So you aren't planning to make me sign a transfer of ownership? You aren't looking for houses to sell this one? You aren't researching how to take what is mine? It was just information. We just wanted to be prepared for the future. Liam murmured. Prepared for what future? For the future where I die or disappear conveniently, and you keep everything? Olivia took a step forward, and for the first time, I saw her true face without masks. Pure evil. You know what? Yes, we are planning to keep this house, because someone who can really enjoy it deserves it, not a bitter old woman who lives in the past. This house is worth at least $450,000 in the current market. That is enough money to give us the life we deserve. Olivia, shut up, Liam warned her, but she was on a roll. No, Liam, enough pretending. Your mother knows everything anyway. Why continue with the farce? She looked directly at me. Yes, Eleanor, we want your house. We need it. My family and I have huge debts. My mother lost her house for not paying the mortgage. Tyler owes over $50,000 in loans he took out to gamble in casinos, and I myself have credit cards maxed out. We need that money. Barbara tried to stop her. Olivia, please. Please what, Mom? She already knows. Let me finish. She looked back at me. When Liam told me about his widowed mother, who lived alone in a big house in an expensive neighborhood, I knew it was the solution to our problems. We just needed to get close, earn her trust, move in here, and eventually get her out. Every word was like a punch. Liam was paralyzed, looking at his wife as if he were seeing her for the first time. What are you saying? Liam whispered. I am saying the truth, honey. Why do you think I noticed you? It wasn't for your boring personality or your mediocre job. It was because you had a widowed mother with a valuable property. The plan was always this. Tears began to roll down Liam's cheeks. You said you loved me. Olivia laughed. A cruel and cold laugh. I used you, like we use all the fools who cross our path. My family has been doing this for years. We find vulnerable people with valuable assets, and we take advantage of them. Olivia, shut up now, Barbara ordered, clearly terrified that her daughter was revealing too much. But Olivia was out of control, enjoying her moment of cruel honesty. It's too late, Mom. Besides, what is the old lady going to do? Call the police? She doesn't have proof of anything illegal yet. Only public information, documents, and family conversations. Tyler joined the cruelty. Besides, Liam will sign whatever we tell him. He always does. He is a pathetic mama's boy who does anything to keep his wife happy. I saw my son crumble. His face showed shock, pain, humiliation. For the first time in months, I saw him really see the truth. You manipulated me, Liam said with a broken voice. This whole time, everything was a lie. Not everything was a lie, Olivia replied with fake sweetness. I enjoyed some things with you. You aren't that bad in bed. She laughed again. Liam fell onto the sofa, head in his hands. Part of me wanted to comfort him, but another part, the part that had been systematically destroyed for months, stood firm. Well, I said with a surprisingly calm voice. Thank you for your honesty, Olivia. I really appreciate you revealing your entire plan. You make my next step much easier, Barbara went on alert. What next step? Tomorrow morning I have an appointment at the bank to fully secure my property deed and add additional legal protections. I also have an appointment with a lawyer to discuss eviction orders and possible criminal charges for attempted fraud. The color drained from Olivia's face. You can't do that. Liam is your son. Your only son. My son died months ago, when he chose to believe your lies about me. The man sitting there, I pointed at Liam, is a stranger who helped destroy me. Mom. Liam raised his head, tears running down his face. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought she loved me. I thought you were the problem. And that is exactly the reason why this worked so well. Because you wanted to believe I was the problem. It was easier than admitting you had chosen a cruel woman over your mother. Barbara approached with a threatening attitude. You aren't going to do any of that. If you try to kick us out, we will make your life impossible. We have ways to ruin you. Are you threatening me? Perfect. I took out my phone again, because this entire conversation is being recorded. Every confession, every threat, every word. The silence that followed my revelation was absolute. Olivia froze, mouth open. Barbara stepped back several paces, her face showing pure terror. Tyler tried to lunge at me to take the phone, but I moved away quickly. Don't you dare touch me, I warned him with a firm voice. This is already backed up to the cloud. Even if you destroy my phone, the recording will still exist. My friend Margaret has access to everything. If something happens to me, she has instructions to hand everything to the police. You are a snake, Olivia hissed, her entire mask of sweetness completely shattered. A manipulative old woman who is trying to separate a husband from his wife. No, Olivia. I am a woman who finally learned to defend herself. And you, I pointed at her, Barbara and Tyler, are criminals who confessed your intentions to commit fraud. Did you know that attempted real estate fraud can result in up to 5 years in prison? My friend Margaret explained it to me very clearly today. Barbara collapsed into a chair, all her arrogance evaporated. You can't do this. We are family. You stopped being family when you turned me into your victim, when you planned to rob me, when you humiliated me day after day in my own house, when you made my son hate me with lies. Liam finally spoke, his voice barely a whisper. Mom, I didn't know. You have to believe me. Olivia told me you were jealous, that you didn't want to see me happy, that you had always been controlling. She showed me messages taken out of context. She interpreted every one of your actions as attacks on her. I was an idiot. Yes, you were, I replied without softening my words. You were an idiot who chose to believe a woman you had known for 3 years over the mother who raised you alone for more than 30. You were an idiot who allowed that woman and her family to turn me into a prisoner in my own home. You were an idiot who kicked me out as if I were trash. I know, and I am so sorry. He stood up, approaching me with hands extended. Mom, please, give me a chance to fix this. I am going to divorce Olivia right now. I am going to kick them all out of the house. I'm going now. You're going to what, Liam? Are you going to erase months of abuse? Are you going to give me back the nights I spent crying in my room? Are you going to repair the humiliation of being expelled from my own house as if I were an intruder? Olivia let out a hysterical laugh. This is pathetic. Liam, you can't be falling for her manipulation again. She is acting like the perfect victim, but she has always been controlling. Shut up. Liam's scream startled us all. Shut up, Olivia. You lied to me. You used me. You destroyed my relationship with my mother. For what? To pay your gambling debts? To save your family of parasites? Tyler rose from the sofa with an aggressive attitude. Watch how you talk to my sister, coward. Coward? You call me a coward? You who have been living for free in this house for months without lifting a finger to work? You, who mocked my mother while eating her food and using her utilities without paying anything? Liam, son, calm down. Barbara intervened with a trembling voice. We are all stressed. We can resolve this civilly. There is nothing to resolve, I said firmly. I have already made my decision. Tomorrow, first thing, I will meet with Margaret and a lawyer. By noon, you will have official eviction notices. You have 72 legal hours to leave my property. If you do not do so voluntarily, the police will escort you out." "You can't kick us out just like that," yelled Olivia. "We have rights as tenants. We have lived here for months. You aren't tenants. Tenants pay rent. You are guests who abused my hospitality, and unwanted guests become trespassers." My lawyer was very clear about this. Barbara tried another approach, standing up with a pleading expression. "Eleanor, please. I am an older woman like you. I lost my house. I have nowhere to go. Are you really going to leave me on the street? You lost your house because you didn't pay your mortgage. Those were your decisions, not my responsibility. And yes, I am going to let you go, just as you planned to leave me with nothing." "You are a heartless witch," spat Tyler. "A bitter old woman who is going to end up dying alone. I prefer to die alone with dignity than to live surrounded by parasites who despise me. At least I will die in my own house, in my own bed, with my own clear conscience. Can you say the same?" Olivia began to cry, but they were fake tears. I had seen her use that tactic with Liam dozens of times. "Honey, don't let your mother do this. We are a marriage. We have to be together." Liam looked at her with disgust. "Marriage? Our marriage was a lie from the beginning. Everything was an act to rob my mother, and I was stupid enough not to see it. No, honey. There was love. At first it was for the plan, true, but then I really fell in love with you. Don't insult me with more lies. 5 minutes ago you said you used me, that you noticed me only for my mother's house, that you enjoyed using me. You can't retract that now. I was angry. I said things I didn't mean. No. You told the truth for the first time in 3 years, and that truth is that you destroyed everything I loved for money." I turned to go up the stairs. "I suggest you start packing. 72 hours go by fast, and don't dare take anything that doesn't belong to you. I have a photographic inventory of every object in this house." "This isn't over," shouted Barbara. "We are going to fight this. We have lawyers too." "With what money?" I asked without turning around. "Let's assume you are bankrupt. Your lawyers are going to want payments up front. Where will you get them?" "Oh, right. You can't steal it from me anymore." I went up the stairs and locked myself in my room. My hands were still shaking from the adrenaline. It had worked. The recording was safe. Margaret had received an automatic copy to her email, just as we had planned. I sat on my bed and let the tears finally flow. They weren't tears of weakness, but of liberation. I had faced my abusers. I had defended my dignity. Grandma Ruth would be proud. Downstairs I could hear shouting, Liam and Olivia fighting violently, Barbara crying, Tyler punching walls. The chaos they had created was now consuming them. That night I didn't sleep, but not out of fear or sadness. I spent the hours organizing documents, preparing a detailed list of everything I would need for the next day. At 6 a.m, I called Margaret. "Eleanor?" "What happened?" I told her everything. Olivia's confession, the recording, Barbara's threats, Liam's collapse. "My God, this is even worse than we thought. But at least now you have solid evidence. Do you feel safe there tonight?" "Yes, I locked my door. And honestly, after everything that happened, I think they are too scared to try anything." "Good. See you at 9 in my office. I'm bringing my colleague Raul. He is a specialist in real estate law and fraud cases. He is going to help us." At 7 a.m, I went down to the kitchen. I needed coffee. Olivia was already there, with eyes swollen from crying or lack of sleep. We looked at each other in silence for a moment. "Coming to enjoy your victory?" she asked, with bitterness. "It isn't a victory. It is survival. You ruined our lives. Do you know that? Without this plan, my family is going to lose everything. You ruined your own lives with your decisions. The debts you have are a result of your actions, not mine. And I certainly am not going to sacrifice my home and my peace to solve problems you created yourselves." I prepared my coffee in silence. Olivia watched me with a mixture of hate and despair. "What is going to happen to Liam? That depends on his own decisions. He is my husband. On paper only. That marriage was fraud from the start. If Liam has any intelligence, he will annul it. But that is his decision, not mine. Are you ever going to forgive him?" The question stopped me. Would I forgive my son? The boy I loved so much? The man who betrayed me so deeply? "I don't know," I replied honestly. "Forgiveness isn't something decided in a moment. It is something built with time, with actions, with real change. Liam has a long road ahead if he wants to recover even a fraction of what he destroyed. All this is my fault, whispered Olivia. I ruined everything. Yes, you did. But don't look for my sympathy now. You had months to act with decency. You chose cruelty at every moment. I took my coffee and returned to my room, leaving her alone with her thoughts. At 8:30, I dressed in my best clothes. A pearl gray suit I had sewn myself years ago, comfortable but elegant shoes, my pearl necklace that had been Grandma Ruth's. I looked in the mirror and saw a different woman than I had been months ago, thinner, with more wrinkles, with tired eyes. But I also saw strength. I saw determination. I saw a survivor. I left my room at 8:45 in the morning. The house was silent, a heavy and tense silence. I went down the stairs with my head held high, my purse in hand, ready to meet Margaret and change my life forever. In the living room, I found them all. Barbara was sitting on the sofa, face haggard and without makeup, looking 10 years older. Tyler paced back and forth like a caged animal, with an expression of barely contained panic. Olivia was by the window, looking out without really seeing anything, and Liam was sitting alone in a chair, staring into space, as if his entire world had collapsed. When they saw me, everyone tensed up. "Where are you going?" Olivia asked with a dull voice. "To fix my life, to protect what is mine, to ensure that never again can anyone try to steal my home." "Mom, wait." Liam stood up. He looked terrible. Deep, dark circles, messy hair, wrinkled clothes. "I need to talk to you before you go." "We have nothing to talk about, Liam. Please. Just 5 minutes. I beg you." Something in his voice made me stop. There was genuine desperation there, and real pain. I sighed. 5 minutes, not one more. We went to the kitchen, leaving the others in the living room. Liam closed the door behind us and leaned against the counter, as if he needed the support to stay standing. "Mom, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know what I did is unforgivable, but I need you to know something." He looked up, and I saw fresh tears in his eyes. "Last night, after you went to your room, I checked Olivia's phone while she was sleeping. I found everything. Messages with her mother and brother, planning every step, conversations about how to manipulate me, how to isolate you, how to make you feel so miserable that you yourself would want to leave. There was a chat group called Operation Own House, where they documented every progress." My stomach twisted. "And what did you do with that information?" "I took screenshots of everything. I have them on my phone. I want to give them to you. It's more evidence for your case." He took out his phone and showed me. There were dozens of conversations, detailed and cruel. I saw messages where Olivia mocked me, where they planned changes in the house, where they calculated how much money they would get from the sale. One message in particular froze my blood. It was from Barbara to Olivia. "If the old lady resists too much, we can get a doctor to certify she has dementia. There are professionals who do that for the right price. Then Liam can get legal guardianship and make decisions for her." "My God," I whispered. "They plan to declare me mentally incompetent." "Yes, and I was so blind, so manipulated, that I probably would have allowed it. Mom, I was a monster to you. There is no excuse, but I want to help you now. I want to testify against them, if necessary. I want them to face consequences for what they did." "Why now, Liam? Why not 3 months ago, when all this started? Why not when they humiliated me in front of you and you said nothing?" "Because I was a coward. Because I was in love. Or at least I thought so. Because Olivia knew exactly which buttons to press to keep me on her side. She made me feel strong when I was with her. She made me feel like I was finally an independent man. And she used sex, affection, and emotional manipulation to control me completely." He wiped his tears. "But that doesn't justify anything. I chose to believe her lies about you because it was more comfortable than admitting I had made a mistake marrying her. You have destroyed something that cannot be easily repaired, Liam. The trust between mother and son, the respect, the love I felt for you is buried under months of pain and humiliation. I know, and I am going to have to live with that the rest of my life. But if there is even a small chance that someday you can forgive me, I am going to work every day to deserve it. I'm going to divorce Olivia today. I'm going to move out and look for my own place. I am going to pay you every penny I owe you. I am going to do therapy to understand how I was so stupid. And I am going to respect you if you decide you never want to see me again. I looked at him for a long time. This man in front of me was my son, but he was also a stranger, someone who had allowed them to destroy me, someone who had actively participated in my suffering. Send me those screenshots. I need them for the legal case. But Liam, I need you to understand something very clearly. The way back into my life, if there is one, is going to be long and painful. There will be no shortcuts. There will be no excuses. You will have to demonstrate with actions, not words, that you have changed. I understand. I will do whatever is necessary. And another thing, you leave this house today, along with them. I cannot have you here while I heal. I cannot look at you every day and remember how you betrayed me. The pain on his face was evident, but he nodded. It is fair. I will pack my things immediately. I left the kitchen and found Margaret waiting for me at the front door. My friend hugged me tight. Ready for this? More than ready. We spent the day in offices. First the bank, where I secured my property title with additional protections. No change could be made without my physical presence and multiple forms of identification. Then the office of lawyer Raoul, a man of 50 with a serious and professional expression. We showed him all the evidence, the photos of the documents, the audio recording of the confessions, the screenshots Liam had sent me. Raoul listened to everything in silence, taking meticulous notes. Mrs. Eleanor, you have an extremely solid case. What these people attempted to do constitutes attempted fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and possibly other charges. I have enough here to get immediate eviction orders and also to initiate criminal proceedings if you decide to go down that path. How long do I have to decide on the criminal charges? You have several months, but I can process the eviction order today. By tomorrow morning you will have official notice. They will have 72 hours to vacate or the police will intervene. Do it. I want my house back. I signed documents for an hour. Each signature felt like an act of reclamation. Each paper was one step closer to recovering my life. When I returned home at 6 in the evening, I found a dramatic change. There were boxes all over the living room, suitcases by the door. Tyler was loading things into an old car he had parked outside. Barbara was sobbing on the sofa while packing her belongings into trash bags. Olivia was on the phone, speaking desperately to someone. Please, Liam's mom is kicking us out. We need a place to stay just a few days. Don't you have any friend who can help us? When she saw me, she hung up the phone. For a moment our gazes met. There was no longer hate in her eyes, only defeat. Liam came down the stairs with his own suitcases. He had taken only what was his, nothing more. Our gazes crossed briefly. He nodded once, a silent acknowledgement, and continued toward the door. Where are you going? Olivia asked him with desperation. To a hotel. And tomorrow I will look for an apartment. Alone. Our marriage ended, Olivia. You cannot leave me now. I am your wife. You were my wife under false pretenses. Our marriage was fraud from the start. My lawyer is already working on the annulment. He loaded his suitcases into his car. Don't try to contact me. I don't want to know anything about you ever again. Victoria stood up from the sofa with renewed fury. This is your fault, Eleanor. You destroyed your son's marriage. Are you happy now? I didn't destroy anything. You did when you planned to rob me. And now you face the consequences of your actions. We are going to end up on the street. You don't care? No, I don't care. Just as you didn't care when you planned to leave me with nothing. The difference is that I didn't deserve what you did. You deserve exactly what you are receiving. Tyler entered with a threatening expression. You are going to pay for this, old lady. Somehow, you are going to pay. Are you threatening me, Tyler? Because the lawyer warned me you might try to intimidate me. I have new security cameras installed today. I pointed to the discreet cameras Margaret had had installed while I was out. Everything is being recorded and backed up to the cloud. If anything happens to me, if my house suffers any damage, if I receive any kind of harassment, the authorities will know exactly whom to investigate first. His expression of confidence vanished. He let out a curse and left the house stomping. At 9 at night, they finally left. I watched them depart from my living room window. 3 cars loaded with boxes and suitcases. Barbara crying in the passenger seat while Tyler drove. Olivia going alone in another car, face hard and bitter. And Liam in his own vehicle, looking toward my house one last time before driving off. When the taillights disappeared in the distance, I locked the door. I also locked the additional deadbolt. And then I leaned against that door and breathed deeply. Silence. A beautiful and peaceful silence. My house again. I walked slowly through each room. The living room was messy but empty of their toxic presence. The kitchen needed cleaning, but it was mine again. I went up the stairs and saw the rooms they had occupied. They would need deep cleaning, maybe even new paint, but soon there would be no trace of them. I entered my own room, the only room that had remained my refuge, and sat on my bed. On my nightstand was the photograph of Grandma Ruth. "I did it, Grandma," I whispered. "I defended my dignity, just like you taught me." Tears began to flow, but this time they were tears of liberation. I cried for the lost time, for the son I had lost, for the months of suffering, but I also cried with relief, with victory, with new hope.